guys, so a little trick you can use, a songwriting trick to make your song sound more Beatly, and that's the only way I can describe it really. You'll hear what I mean in a sec, but there's a little trick that you can do, and if you're in a major key, then normally chord number 4 would be a major chord as well. So just to quickly explain what that means in case you're not sure, if I take a key of, for example, A major, here's an A major scale. Those notes are A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, and then A again on the end. So that's an A major scale. Now each of those notes, I'm just going to rush through this bit, each of these notes has a chord that can be built on top of it. So there's an A chord, a B chord, a C sharp, a D, an E, an F sharp, a G sharp. And some of those chords are major, some are minor, and one of them's diminished. Now I've made other videos about this, and I will make more videos about this, especially if you ask in the comments. But basically, in a major key, you have a major chord on number 1 note, a minor on number 2, a minor on 3, a major on 4, a major on 5, a minor on 6, and a diminished on 7. So in this key that would be A major, B minor, C sharp minor, D major, E major, F sharp minor, G sharp diminished. And you can finish with an A on the end. So they're the 7 chords in that key. And I'm only talking about basic chords, so major, minor, diminished are what are known as basic chords, as opposed to 7ths and 9ths and things like that. So if you've got a basic chord sequence in the key of A major, you're going to be using some of those chords. So if I quickly make one up now, if I just use maybe the A to begin with, and I'll use C sharp minor, D, and B minor perhaps. So let's see what that sounds like if I do 4 beats on each. A, C sharp minor, D, B minor. And that's a random thing. I could have picked any chords from that key. Now the Beatly trick is to take chord 4, which in this key is D major, 1, 2, 3, 4. Doesn't matter where you play it, as long as it's D major, that's chord 4. And make it a D minor instead. So it's effectively out of key, and the way that people explain this in theory is they say you're borrowing the chord from a parallel key. And the parallel key to A major is A minor, the key of A minor. Totally unrelated to A major, it's a completely different set of notes, different set of chords. But it's called the parallel key, I suppose because it's A. So A minor has a D minor chord in it as its chord 4. And A major has a D major chord as its chord 4. So what we're doing is we're borrowing the chord 4 from the A minor key instead and using it in the A major key. So technically it's out of key, but it's really effective. So if I take my sequence again, which was A, C sharp minor, D, B minor, I'll play it again once, just to remind you how it sounds. And this time I'm going to play a D minor instead of a D major. See how it sounds. Now straight away that chord really stands out as being a bit strange because we've just been hearing the standard D major being used as chord 4. So when I switch it to a D minor, it really sounds odd. And I think it sounds quite strange after C sharp minor. It's a bit of a strange sequence. But let's try the same thing again, but I'm going to swap the order around a little bit just to see if I can accentuate the effect by doing that. So I'll start on the A again. I'll go to B minor this time, and then D minor instead of D, and then maybe play the C sharp minor on the end. So first of all, let's play the D as a major, just as so it's all in key. change the D to a minor. And you can kind of hear the effect a bit more now. The thing I don't really like about that is the C sharp minor and the D minor being next to each other. I think it has the effect I'm after, but there's something I don't really like about it. So I'm going to get rid of the C sharp minor and just put the A chord on the end. So let me just use the D major, the correct chord first of all. So A, B minor, D, A. Now I'll change the D to a minor. And that sounds much better to my ears, and it sounds more Beatley as well, or Beatlesque. So why is that? And I think it's because this trick of using chord 4 as a minor, so borrowing from the parallel key and using the minor instead of the major, it's usually then followed by the key chord, the tonic, which is the A in this key. Usually when people do this, when the Beatles did it and other bands did it, usually what happens is this D minor in this key would go back to the A, it wouldn't go to another chord in the key, usually. So that's why it has a better effect, I think, now. Let's take another key. So if I take the key of C major, chords in the key of C major are C, D minor, E minor, F, G, A minor, B diminished. So number 4 was C, D, E, F, and it's major. So if I play some chords in the key of C, let's say just randomly again, if I do C, A minor, F, G, pretty standard sequences. Now a lot of songs have been written with that chord sequence, a lot, especially in the 50s and 60s. So let's take chord 4, which was F, turn it into a minor. Now that really sounds a lot more like the sort of thing the Beatles would have done, especially in their earlier stuff. And interestingly, the chord 4 that was altered didn't go back to the key chord, the tonic. That time it went to chord 5, which was G, which is also quite a common thing. But you can hear the effect, hopefully, straight away it sounds more Beatley. And another thing that they would sometimes do, and other songwriters will do, is they'll use both. So they'll use the F in this key, but use the F minor as well. So if I play the same chord sequence twice, the first time I'll use the major and the second time I'll change to the minor. And that's very Beatley. There are lots of examples of this in songs. If you want me to tell you some, put in the comments and I'll make a follow-up video. But what would be quite good is if you can tell me some in the comments. So if you can think, could be Beatles songs ideally, but if not, other songs where you think, or you know that they are using a borrowed chord 4, borrowed from the parallel key. So in a major key, and chord 4 has been turned into a minor instead of a major. And the simple way to find chord 4, just counting up, start on your root note, let's say you're in G, and you can get very close without knowing any music theory just by counting through the letters, G, A, B, C. So if G is chord 1, chord 4 is going to be C. Now when you do this, occasionally there might be sharps or flats. It will definitely be a C, that letter, but it might be a sharp or flat. I can explain why on another lesson. But it will definitely be that letter. So if you're in the key of G, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. Those are your letters for the notes, and then some might be sharps or some might be flats. As it happens in that key, the F would be a sharp. Same with any keys. Let's take E. E, F, G, A, B, C, D. They're the letters. I should stress that. They're the letters. They're not necessarily the right notes because they could be sharp or flat. As it happens, there's some sharps in that key. So that's how you can get close though. So if you're playing your chord sequence and you're thinking, oh, which one's chord 4? Just do the counting up the letters thing and you'll know that if you're using chord 4. Have a go. And please put any questions you have in the comments. And if you like this one, please click like. Okay, thanks.